So I called, like, I talked to the kid, and he's like, why is she bothering anybody? Because, we've got. Right.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to.
It was, it's working a while ago. There you go. Yeah. There you go.
If you stop me, tell her, call me, come see me.
Cool.
All right, there we go. Sorry about that. Technical difficulties. Welcome, everyone, to the Harlingen City Commission meeting. The time is now 5:36 p.m. We'll call this meeting to order. It has been posted as required by state law. We have a quorum of the commission as everyone is present. If you will please stand so we can begin with the invocation. Dear Lord, thank you for allowing us to be here together to do the work of our community. I ask that you guide us, help us make sure that we are making the decisions that are best serving the entire community and not just one individual person. So thank you, and guide us in making sure that we make those right decisions. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Now the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Under state law, a conflict of interest exists if a council member or certain members of that person's family has a qualifying financial interest in an agenda item. Members with a conflict of interest cannot participate in the discussion nor vote on the agenda item. Are there any known conflicts of interest to disclose at this time?
None.
None. Nope. None.
None.
All right, and now we will move to citizen communication.
On any matter not specifically listed for public hearing elsewhere in this agenda. Please note that the City Commission members may not respond to comments or deliberate on topics addressed. Mayor, we have 5 citizens that signed up, although they are pertaining to public hearing item number 3, so we will name them at that time.
Okay, and so for those of you that have signed up, we do have you here, and there are 5 individuals. Anyone that signed up that wishes to speak now instead of at the public hearing, please raise your hand. Nope, all right, well then we'll move right along. Moving on.
Okay, item number 1, presentation by the Parks and Recreation Department staff on parks projects.
Yes, good evening, Mayor, City Commission. I'm going to go through a quick presentation that we created based on the last meeting that we had, or workshop that we had. I know some of the information that y'all were asking for was the users or the people within a certain radius of the parks. And so this table here shows that. And so what Anna did was she ranked them or she categorized them based on, highest to lowest as far as population wise. So Pendleton has the highest number of people within a 10-mile walk, which is a half a mile from that park. And then you go down to City Lake with 3,600, CB Wood 3,000, and then Travis 2,800, and then Arroyo Park 2,800, and then Bonham 2,815. one of the things that she did, she pulled up this information. So this is a exhibit of where she got the data from. And so that green area is the park, and then the yellow area is the 10-minute or the half a mile. And then there's a breakdown here, a detailed breakdown as far as the children, adults, and seniors, and then their income. And so we have this for all the parks that we identified in the last workshop that we presented. I'm not sure there's any of them that you all would want to go through in detail. We got City Lake, and I'm just going to go through them. You all have a copy of this in front of you. But I wanted to kind of go down, which is, I think, the information that we want to kind of address tonight. So these are, one of the things that I believe the mayor asked for is what projects have we completed from the park master plan, the 2015 master plan. And so this table here shows that, and so off on the far right-hand corner are the projects that we have completed based on or within certain parks, right? So Bonham, for example, we've already completed additional parking. There's two in there for some reason. Okay, we've got the irrigation, and then let's see what else have we done. We did the playground as well. And then we added exercise equipment along the 25th Street hike and bike trail. CB Wood, we added irrigation, and we also added a playground structure there. And then we go down to Gutierrez. We did install some lighting there and the trees, and so that's partial. We did have an irrigation system that's also installed at Gutierrez. Hunter, of course, we've replaced the playground, replaced the picnic pavilion. We added a drinking fountain and then irrigation on that one. Lansing Hill, of course, we constructed an all-inclusive play area. We added volleyball courts, and then we added a large pavilion, and then the walking trail. Moving on to McKelvey. We renovated the electrical service there for special events. And then we also added exercise equipment to complement the trail. On Pendleton, we've extended the trail there at Pendleton, which is the, I forget the name of it, we call it the Harlingen Hometown Heroes Trail. And then we added the lighted basketball court, and then the tennis, we added the pro shop. Rangerville, we did upgrade the pavilion. We added a new pavilion there a few years back. And then Harlingen Soccer, we've improved the walking trail partially. And then so, see Tom Wilson, us and Vestal, we've added the parking lot. We've added some, or improved the parking lot. We've added bleachers, and then for the players. And then what else? We've added the playground with surfacing. And then Victor, all these items are from what we've applied for in the last grant from Texas Parks and Wildlife. So it's addressing almost all of those items. And then Windsor, we have replaced the surfacing at for the playground. We renovated that playground. It was an older one, and we did get CDBG funding for that. And we do have irrigation system there. It's not from Harlingen Waterworks, but it's from it's domestic water from the Harlingen. It's not canal water. It's from Harlingen Waterworks. And then we did construct one picnic pavilion there. Here it shows two, but we only built one. And so I'm going to move on to what staff recommended for us to consider to apply to Texas Parks and Wildlife. And this is based on the amount of people within the area, and also what we feel is a good project and we get most points for. So the first one we have, and they're not in any particular order, CB Wood, and these are the items that we came up with, is extending the loop trail to connect to the existing hike and bike trail, add a basketball court, add sensory play equipment, bird blinds.
Javier, if I could just interrupt real quick,
Yes, sir.
just for a minute. The projects that Javier is going to go over with this part of the presentation are important because we have an action item later and a public hearing to actually get a recommendation from the commission as to what parks to apply for. So just as an FYI.
So I don't know if you want me to go through each one of those, but it's, again, the grant we're applying for is mainly addressing recreation elements. And so it's very important that we do that. And so when we had a training about 2 months ago with Texas Parks and Wildlife, we mentioned the CB Wood and we mentioned Arroyo Park. And those two projects, they really liked a lot because, one, we were connecting to a water resource or natural resource, which is the Arroyo, to an existing trail that trail connects several parks to. And so they really liked us considering those two. But so anyway, these items here, if we add these, we will get points. And so, of course, the parking lot extension, restrooms, there's no restrooms at CB Wood, directional wayfinding signs, hydration station, and then a large pavilion, and then again, the additional access to the hike and bike trail. Second one we got is Arroyo Park, and this is also adding, improving the accessibility to the Arroyo hike and bike trail, adding backstops, renovating the basketball court, renovating the existing playground, adding a challenge course for the youth, a large covered picnic pavilion, automated irrigation system, hydration station, sports lighting for fields 3 and 4. There are softball fields that we have out there, and then add covered bleachers for the 4 athletic fields. Add parking, hydration station, and a bike repair station, and then bird blinds. This one, we've come up with an estimate of $945,759.
Hey, Javier.
Yes.
Going back, if we can go back, 13, what is that?
What they are is they're pedestals, and they have different tools on them. You either can air up your bike or you can change a tire, and several trails around the state, of course, but other cities have them on their trails.
I think Brownsville has some, Commissioner.
Yeah.
I've never heard of them. That's awesome. And going back to slide 1, please. If you look at number 2, will that be lit?
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And then Vestal Park, we have a walking trail, splash pad, basketball court, the shade for the bleachers, and then a monument sign for the entrance, and then extend the parking lot. And that one has a cost of $753,709.
That monument sign is not the $250,000 one, right?
No, sir, and I'll show you. No, and I'll show you. I have it. I don't think I have it on this presentation, but I have it on the other.
You're scaring our audience, Commissioner.
So Gutierrez Park, we wanted to revitalize that one, and some of the ideas that we had was adding a pickleball court, walking trails or paths, a water feature, something similar to Lansing Hill, a community garden or butterfly garden, shaded picnic areas, a permanent stage, a public art area, lighting and accent lighting, but for the trees and where we can do similar to what we did at McKelvey Park. And then we'd add native landscaping, restrooms, and then a curb extension. That one, our estimated cost is $1,184,500.
When you look at number 12, I apologize, Richard. What do you mean by curb extension? Isn't it fully curbed?
I'm going to have to defer you, Luis, on that one. Curb extension?
So I think it was extending the curb, and that's what that's what was proposed, or it may be the curb stop for the cars. I wasn't very sure what that was for either. I didn't propose it.
Was it maybe to, like, if we were to close the streets, we're talking about closing the streets?
Yeah, is that what that is? Okay.
So when we were talking about this, the idea was to do the parking, that slide parking along the opposite side, because there's some in the back already. So is that what that's for, maybe?
Could be.
Okay, well, because then the cost isn't going to be, and it's important to know because we talked about at the last meeting that we want to tackle the projects that are the most costly. So having all of the items on there. Do you know, Anna?
Yes, they're basically, so what we're proposing is the curb extensions are like bump outs at the intersections, and that's just to extend the footprint of the park. And so it also makes the intersection safer, and it would allow us to actually do the angle parking on certain streets.
And then we would have to have that cost in here too, right, for the angle parking that's not in here?
It's not in there, but yeah, I don't think it would be a huge expense.
Oh, yeah, well.
So if you were to think, and I don't know if any of you guys have been there recently, right, but where in Port Isabel, where they have the light tower or the lighthouse, they have, is that what you're talking about? Those things right there on both sides of it?
Are they like bollards? Is that what you're talking about?
Here, I can show you a picture of it on Google Maps.
It might be better to show them right in the...
Like right when you get off the causeway, they have the distillery to the right, but it's this like extended curb there. Oh, we have that on Jackson, don't we? Isn't the same thing we have on Jackson?
That's not blocking traffic, though.
My van, that's the best I can do, guys, with the little screen I have.
Keep your day job, Commissioner.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate the love.
I assume it was a modification to the curb, but not to a certain extent.
Well, thank you, Anna. We'll figure, so I'm assuming that it's
Like an island.
part of that then, right? The parking?
Because I remember you mentioned when we talked about possibly, depending on what we have there, right? If we have food trucks, we would close off the streets temporarily. Those are the streets that run north and south.
Would that be permanent or just temporary?
Temporary.
Okay.
Just during
It
events.
probably wouldn't be that, Commissioner.
I think that what the commission had mentioned, if I remember, was you, Daniel, about closing it permanently, the street.
Yeah, we'd have to get public input, right, from the business owners and the property owners down there, but the thought was it's D and E, I think, are the two streets.
So
But that would extend all the way across the street.
Correct. But that's why I was wondering what that was.
We can also do bollards, and they won't be as expensive as that.
Yeah, whatever. But I would like to make it grass, whatever.
Oh,
We
okay.
can get to it later.
Well, then you need to do that. What he was talking about is like an island, but extending all the way across one sidewalk to the other, so that it blocks traffic. It's got the curb and gutter, but it's also got a green area that you can plant,
right.
something on.
So I know that, like for example, at Lansing Hill, we'd have these, and even at McKelvey, there are these bollards that you lay down. Let's say if you do need to use it for whatever reason or access it, You pull out a pin, you lay it down, and you just lock it. So when we prepared this was before our conversation with Texas Parks and Wildlife. We did get a call back this afternoon, and so a couple of items that she was recommending that we do not include in the application was the community garden and butterfly garden. And so then they talked about the lighting. Of course, it needs to be sustainable, so they're suggesting LED or solar lights. And then they were recommending that we do include native landscaping and the water feature. So if it's a splash park, they're really recommending that, plus a pickleball court.
And all of that can be done at Gutierrez Park?
I think if we design it right, we could.
Because it's 2 acres, right?
Right, it's 2.5 acres.
So the only thing I don't see on here is we talked about sand volleyball court, maybe instead of the community garden.
We could. So I know that I think on our estimate we included it with the pickleball court. So it's pickleball slash
So
volleyball.
at least like 2 pickleball courts and
Yes, ma'am.
2 sand volleyball. Is that possible?
Well, I don't know if we can fit 2.
Or one of each?
Right. Yeah.
Say that area doesn't seem that big to me.
One of each.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because we have 2 at Lansing Hill, 2 volleyball courts.
So I
2
was
sand.
going to ask that because I know that, so I shared on social media a potential of maybe we can do a rec center and talking about different things. And there was some comments about not having any volleyball courts in Harlingen, and I remember you mentioning that we do. So the ones in Lansing Hill, are they hidden? I can't even think of where they're at.
They're right next to the Lansing Hill pool. And what it
Okay.
has is we have this windscreen that's wrapped around it, so you can't really see it.
Okay.
But that's where we have the sand volleyball court.
And they're accessible to the public?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. So would you, based on the additional items, what would that number look like in terms of the total cost, like for the parking and then the green space, if closing the street? You said you wanted them to have like a little courtyard area, right, the businesses?
Yeah, my thought would be to, if we were to get approved from the public, stretch out that curb, the sidewalk a little further, so now they have like a bistro like type of seating, and then the rest of it turn it into green space, so that you could add more pickleball courts or whatever.
I've got a question. It's a police question, but the chief isn't here to answer it. Is Gutierrez Park still a crime place? Meaning prostitutes? I moved here in '81, and I was told this was all prostitutes, and in the paper over the decades, lots of arrests there.
Well, I think that's some of the reason why we want to do these improvements, because we want to kind of drive those type of activities out from the park.
We have a bigger issue with homeless there, vagrants. The police department has had quite a few stings for prostitution, so that's gone down. But again, the homeless population has been an issue there.
And I think it's important as a commission that if those are the issues, as you expressed, then we need to do something about it. And that's what this is trying to reimagine that space into a park, because it is a park, and for families to feel comfortable visiting the park. I know that one of the business owners is here that I went to go chat with, and I sat in, I think I was there for, 10, 15 minutes, and seeing what she's observing while she's there it's just not acceptable, and we need to do something to change that. And I think this is an opportunity, and it can't be just, painting or adding a fixture or any of those things, because that's not going to change it. It has to be a total revamp, and I think that that's what this is. And I met with Javier and his team, and I was a little disappointed because I saw that in 2000, were you here in 2008? No?
No.
2008, I think they started having conversations about doing something at Gutierrez Park, and then in 2010, they had a task force. The commission had a presentation. There were students from the university, there were community stakeholders, people that really put in many, many hours on suggestions on what we could do. And then that was presented to the commission in 2010, and nothing happened, and that's disappointing, and I don't want that to continue with this commission. And so I think this is an opportunity, and if we can get grant money to be able to do it, I think that's definitely a win-win for everyone.
Let me interject on something here that's been going on behind the scenes. I have been reached. I had a couple of pastors reach out to me, and they have been able to secure not one but 2 trailers for showers. This is one of the things that the pastors have dealt and worked with some of the homeless. And 2 things they requested was showers and haircuts. They have secured the trailers, and as we speak, they're still trying to get a meeting set up with the city of Harlingen and the pastors to get together, make sure that those showers, which are mobile, we find a good location, and they're able to use those showers, making sure they're up to code with the city wants. Unfortunately, the 2 meetings that we've had in the past, the pastors had not been able to attend, so it's not on the city. It's on this being worked out. So those logistics are in the process. I have met with a couple of people from code enforcement and people from the planning and zoning. So that's in the process. Once we have that meeting, we'll be able to know more, and then we can share with everybody what can and cannot be done.
That's awesome. I think that's a good idea. I definitely want as many resources as possible, but I think that's still not going to solve the bigger issue, but it will provide resources to the homeless population that I think is wonderful. So anything that you need from me, let me know, and I'm sure that, are you meeting with Gabe, or?
I've started with the planning and zoning and some of the zone, the code enforcement.
I know they do
people.
that in other cities or bigger cities. I had read something about that, providing mobile areas and then kind of like a pop-up store with hygiene items and
Correct.
things like that. So that's great. But going back to this, do you think that that's going to add to the cost?
No, I was talking to Mondo right now. So what I recall is what the most expensive part of building that sand volleyball, because we did it in-house, was the sand,
Okay.
right? So it takes special sand.
But the closing of the street and the parking and all that?
Yeah. I mean, that's not gonna take a lot.
Okay. So then the number, if you had to add to it, would be approximately, just an estimate?
So on the sand volleyball, we estimate about 10,000 for the sand. Let's say we did it in-house. I'm not sure what the cost would be as far as the curb extensions or the.
But that's included, right, in the cost, the curb extensions?
Yes, we have 25,000 in the curb extensions.
Okay.
So, y'all mind if I continue with? the
Did you
next
have
one?
any other questions on Gutierrez?
No, I'm actually showing them land that's for sale nearby that you can just, we can make some improvements.
It wasn't part of,
Yeah, it wasn't part of that.
Okay, okay.
Evan, a quick question.
Yes.
When I was looking at the park area demographics, I noticed on the Wilson Sports Complex, you have no information. Why is that?
Yeah, so on the app that we got the data from, it doesn't show anything for Wilson. It shows it as a park, but doesn't give us any data. For some reason, we don't know why.
So did that play a reason why it was maybe not included in one of these projects, or what? Because, I mean, there's literally a huge neighborhood adjacent, well, right
Right,
next to the
right.
park, right now on the trail, there's like a huge neighborhood that's right there. And, it's surrounded by other neighborhoods. They may be county, but they're still neighborhoods and all that.
Well, I mean, and based on the improvements that we showed in the, from the last meeting, I mean, there's a lot you can do at the Wilson Sports Complex, as far as fields and trails, basketball courts, items like that are definitely recreation elements.
Okay. Yeah, because I was going to mention that because I know the Harlingen Soccer Complex is getting an infusion of money that we got from, well, thanks to Daniel and some other stuff that we got from, was it the Rotary?
Rotary.
Yeah.
Rotary's the one that's
Yeah, well, yeah.
take all the credit.
Yeah, we're getting some money from the Rotary Club, so we're getting an infusion on there, and I don't see anything for the Wilson Sports Complex. And I was actually walking there, jogging and walking.
Why don't we split the difference? You're speed walking, all right?
On Monday or Tuesday, I think. And when I was going around there, I noticed that the track is in desperate need of help. I know it was, there's areas where the grass is growing out, and you could tell where how you used to have the little, what are they called? The little wooden pieces that are on the
Right.
side, the railings, I guess,
Right.
whatever they're called. They're not there anymore, and there's pieces where when you're walking the trail, it doesn't even look like a trail anymore. It's just basically maybe a foot length that's not covered in grass, and it's in horrible shape.
Right.
So I know we could use some money there. So
If you don't mind me jumping in there, what are you thinking about for that trip? Do you want it, so the one you just walked in my district, Alonzo Hill, we put concrete, or do you want crushed granite like what we currently have?
yeah, like on your plan, like for the one for Vestal Park, that's what I was thinking, like that, something like crushed granite or something like that. Because because I made a post on that regarding like the new trail, and people were posting like, oh, the running on cement is bad on your knees and stuff. And sure enough, the next day I was sore again. So, because I was jogging, but yeah, something like that, because it does need some help. It does need some major help. And I know I've been in contact with some of the members of the softball community that they're playing the parks. And they, by the way, they wanted me to extend their thanks because they know you helped a lot with the fields by adding some dirt. So that was great. But they have some issues with the light, and I know the basketball courts could need a little bit of more renovation, stuff like that. And we have a lot of land. What are we doing with that land that's next to it? Where we have the softball fields? I noticed like on the trail there's like a big empty spot. What do we do with that?
And so that was the well, I can show you later, but on the image that I shared with y'all, I think I identified 3 multi-purpose fields that we can build back there, that's behind the softball complex. Between I don't know what street that is in the back, where you come in. I think it's Chester Park, and then you come in
I think it's Lafayette, isn't it?
Lafayette.
Yeah.
Lafayette, yeah.
Yeah. So it's between the softball fields and Lafayette. And then there's 2 areas. There's 2 fields that are up front that people use for for pickup on either football or soccer or whatever. And those have lighting, but it's just from AEP, right? It's not sports lighting. So the idea was to improve those as well, and then build a restroom up front. Because right now there's only one restroom, and so people have to go from the front all the way across to the restroom by the pavilion. And so there's mothers that are worried, right, to send their kids off by themselves to walk across the park. So they asked if there was something that we can do, and so anyway, I added it to that concept.
Yeah, because the one that you shared with us last time, so would that have scored not as many points as the one for the sports complex?
I think it would.
Or the soccer complex, or what?
Anna, you think that one for Wilson? Right. Yeah. But if we did it in phases, right? If we pick some of the elements, I think it would score high.
Okay. I was just recommending because I
Because-
noticed that, and I know they're getting money already, and I just think that one's been neglected for a long time.
And so we have in the last 3 or 4 years, we've improved sections of the trail. I'm not sure if you'd like on the neighbor's side, when you're driving into the park on the left side, we've built
The curb?
about
Like the-
1,300
You're talking about the
linear
curb?
feet. Yes, we
Yeah,
put
I
curbs, and
noticed
then we brought in caliche, and then we brought in crushed granite. Because the old section of the trail, all it had was these boards on the side, and that was containing the
How long ago was that?
granite. I think we got funding like 2 or 3 years ago for that.
Because a lot of
So
that's
we've done it
disappeared.
in 2 phases.
Okay, yeah, because a lot of that's disappeared, like when I was walking this week.
Okay.
Cool.
Is there, other than those, that land in the back where you can add more fields and then the trail, then the lights, right? Those are the big things, or is there anything else you want
Well,
to
the trail, the lights, and I'd like to add, honestly, something else, because that does support a big, I know it doesn't say it here, but there's a big population there, so I don't know what else we could do, maybe, I mean, I kind of really like pickleball after I played it, so, maybe something there, or add
Well,
something.
We could do it next to the basketball courts, right? So I had suggested that we add 2 more courts there, but those could be pickleball courts. One thing that we didn't add to Wilson was splash pad. I mean, because that could, we have a deficit in splash pads in the city. So
And real quick, because I know there's probably going to be some people at home watching this, and I know we've talked about it, about how the level of the water is very low in the lake. But can you explain why? Because I know you told me, but I want them, if they're watching the video, I want them to understand why. Because I know I've seen posts online where people are like, "Wow, the water's so low, the city's not doing anything about it." But I want you, if you can just elaborate on that.
so what we do is we get water from the irrigation district, and so the irrigation district has cut us off. Not in a bad way, but they just, they can't provide us water anymore because of the drought conditions. And so they gave us water about 2 months ago and said, this is all we're going to give you. You need to find other sources of getting water. So right now what we're working on is trying to get a purchase order to dig a well. So what we'll do is pull water from that water well and fill up that lake. And then we can use that for irrigation. So the source of water that we were getting before, which was the irrigation district water, there's no more.
So if you're going to dig a well, what's your total dissolved salts?
Well,
I mean, it would, this part of Harlingen, it's like 33% salt water. And Combs and Primera, it's like 15%, but it all needs to be treated with reverse osmosis. So you can't use that for irrigation, and the salt in the water will kill everything around it.
At what depth do you know that this water level, this salt level is?
There are different pea gravel gray layers and sand layers, and that's where the water lies. No, I don't know the exact.
Because we received different quotes from different water drillers, I guess you call them. But some have recommended 75 feet, 100 feet. This one contractor, which we're looking at, is going to build or drill 250 feet. And so they're telling us that's where we want to go, is get that
they're
water.
not telling you the
250 feet.
quality of the water.
No, because they don't know yet, right? But they have historical data, right, where they've drilled wells in the area.
East Rio Hondo Water Department has some wells up near Combs and Primera, and you're talking $40 million for the size of their wells and the reverse osmosis to make the water potable.
We'll look into that.
On the note of wells for conservation, have you looked into trying to get parking lots to conserve water instead of making them just straight cement to where it's rock that percolates down to where we can collect the water and it'll be used like at the soccer complex and let the water stream into the resacas?
Well, the way that the drainage is at the soccer complex, it does drain into the lakes, the 2 lakes that are there. So the drainage system that was designed back then, it collects it and then it drains out into those lakes.
So basically, water that falls on the parking lot will stream toward the, okay.
Yes, and so there's not just in the parking lot, but also in the fields, between fields, we do have drainage and we have inlets where we collect water there and it drains out to those lakes.
Can we move on?
Yes, so the next project we came up with is McKelvey Park. And so we are in desperate need of additional parking there because we do have several events there. And then we wanted to do is there's a hill area, right, where we have the playground, we have a little pavilion, and then we have like a little picnic shelter. So we wanted to build as kind of like an amphitheater type setting, and then use that hill where we can seat, create like tiered seating on the side of that hill. Want to renovate the playground and then create accessibility to it, because right now there's no access from the parking lot or from the trail to the playground. So we'd have to create sidewalks. We want to add picnic areas, a water feature. Of course, we talked about the parking lot. A monument sign. There's no sign there except for that little wood sign, the old ones. So we want to create a nice monument sign there. Native landscaping, bird blinds, hydration station, a trailhead, and then lighting, and then renovate the restrooms, and then accessibility for the playground and pavilion. That one is $1,026,950. And then this is the Harlingen Soccer Complex. We, in the improvement concept, we did come up with adding 3 new soccer fields, the field renovations, improve the existing walking trail, add sports lighting to the unlit fields, which is 3, 4, 5, and 6, and then add covered bleachers, hydration stations, a parking lot extension, and restrooms. And that was $3,013,000. So
if I may go back, you already have talked with the Harlingen Rotary Club. We're raising $150,000 to buy covered bleachers.
yes, sir.
Okay, so the city will buy more covered bleachers.
Correct.
In this plan.
Right, and so the other thing that we have in these cost estimates is sidewalks, right? So we want to create accessibility to those fields.
Yeah, maybe like 7 or 8 months ago, Javier and I met with Joseph Alsbury and Robert Rodriguez, who's also in your Rotary Club. And we had a whole meeting to make sure that there was no overlap, that we complement each other.
Is your club doing something?
Not this year. I don't know. I was just at the meeting last night, but not this year.
So this is sort of a summary of what we came up with. The non-urban outdoor grant, the maximum project amount is 1.5. The indoor is 3 million, with the maximum grant amount 750 and 1.5. So these are the projects that we came up with. The estimated cost. First one we have is CB Wood is 505. Arroyo Park 945. Vestal is 753,000. Gutierrez is 1.1. McKelvey is 1,026,000, and then the soccer complex is 3 million. And so then off to the right, that table it shows you what our match would be.
Are they ranked in the order with like the highest points?
No.
Okay.
No.
Do we know if we were to rank them, which one would score the best? How would that look?
What do you think, Anna?
Could really be.
And also just.
I mean, go ahead.
Because you said CB Park and Arroyo Park, Texas Parks and Wildlife really love that one.
Yes. And so we're thinking, Anna and I was maybe looking at another source for Gutierrez. because there's not a lot of recreation elements that we can put to in that park, other than the items that we brought up, right? We just don't know if it's going to be very competitive when we submit that grant.
Yeah, to me, I think we do whatever's the most competitive. Ideally, for me, if we could, I'd put Harlingen Soccer Complex because that's the biggest ticket one, right? At $3 million. Then I'll do Utedes Park and McKelvin. But if you're saying Utedes won't work, then do Arroyo Park because that's the third highest.
Ana,
What I was gonna.
can you come up here? Just so that way, and Javier, don't leave, just so that you're both up here.
What I was going to suggest, in all honesty, was I was going to suggest replacing the Harlingen Soccer Complex with the Wilson Sports Complex. The reason I'm doing that, because I don't think it was fairly measured since it didn't have any of the metrics. And like I know you said some of the reason that was left off was also because of the cost, the $5 million, I think. But like I'm looking at what you from last time, if we were just to take out the 372 additional parking spaces right there, that would save us like about 1.5 million, give or take. So that would give us basically the same range as the Harlingen Sports Complex, plus the Wilson Sports Complex. I think, how do you say, it serves more of the population than the Harlingen Soccer Complex, which is way over there by the landfill, and this one's like right smack in the middle of neighborhoods, and it's a community park that's right by the expressway. So I think that would be better than the Harlingen Soccer Complex. That's my take on it.
So I'm sure there's more back and forth, but before, Ana, I, since you're the one that's going to be working on these grants and submitting them, I know this entire commission really values your opinion. So based on your opinion, is there a project here that would score, in your opinion, higher than others? Like, if you were going without commission, I know it's difficult, but don't listen to any of these guys. Just, put your grant hat on, and if you were going to submit one that you felt, this one I feel strongly because this one checks all the boxes and I have a higher likelihood of being granted, which one would that be?
So I just wanted to, before I answer the question, so for the Harlingen Soccer
Just drop the
Complex-
mic a little
Yeah.
bit.
Sorry,
There you go.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Sorry to put you on the spot.
No, that's fine. So before I answer that question, though, I was hoping that Javier will mention this because we discussed it. The Harlingen Soccer Complex is $3 million, so that automatically, if we keep it as it is, it's not going to work out because the maximum project cost that we kind of need to shoot for is 1.5.
Correct.
So anything above that wouldn't be a good project, and so because then that means that we need to overmatch significantly a lot more. So that wouldn't work out. But I think any of the parks that are near the Arroyo are probably the most competitive projects.
Mayor, the projects that she's listed, there are in order of priority.
I don't think so. They are?
Yes.
Or it's okay if they
Yeah.
are. Nobody's going to get upset. And if they do, it doesn't matter. It's just because at the end of the day, I think it's great that we work at the soccer complex or at Wilson or Arroyo or Gutierrez or Pendleton or any of those. But nobody wins if we don't get the grant, right? So if that's the order, then it looks like CB Wood and then Arroyo Park. But if I'm looking at them in order of priority, then that's great if that's the case. But how closely would you rate CB Wood Park and Arroyo Park? Because obviously there's the higher amount that we can get would be better.
Right.
But if they're so far apart, then it would make sense for CB Wood.
So I think the list was rearranged a little, but CB Wood Park, Arroyo Park, and McKelvey Park were probably the highest, I think, in my opinion. I think based on the conversation that Javier had today, which this was before we put the list together, Gutierrez also has a good chance. And so, honestly, all of them are competitive.
Okay.
The Harlingen Soccer Complex is the only one that is like $3 million. I don't know how we can condense it and still make it, competitive. But I think out of all of the original lists, which was presented to you guys at the last meeting, I mean, these are probably the top. So we have a good chance.
And none of these are stand out one more than the other.
They all have their strengths. And so
You're acting like a lawyer, Ana.
no, I'm serious. I mean, it's subjective, And
Okay.
so even though they have a rubric, it's still subjective. And so, but I think that it will be very easy to tell the story about those parks that are near the arroyo.
Okay.
But I don't know if that's a priority for you guys, and this is where you guys come in.
No,
Sure.
no, what this is screw the politics,
Right.
okay? 3 of us are up for election in November. Screw the politics.
Well,
What this is a probability event. And we need to play the probability game. And we need to vote on the ones that have, in your opinion, no guarantee, your guesstimate, your opinion, have the highest probability of getting funding so that we could save the taxpayers some money while improving the city.
Right, and just because we don't choose, I mean, you can only choose one, right? And so it doesn't mean that we don't focus on all the other parks with other avenues of funding, other grants, and other opportunities. But here, it's what is going to make us most competitive for this specific grant. And if that means that, and what I'm hearing is that something that is connected to the Arroyo will provide us more opportunity to be selected. So having said that, that would be McKelvey Park, CB Wood Park, and Arroyo Park. Yes?
Yes.
Okay. And so then if we do process of elimination, it looks like the biggest ticket item is McKelvey Park, right?
Yes.
Okay. So those are my thoughts. I don't know what everybody else thinks, but I just, we want to make your job easier. I want Gutierrez Park to be, I think I spent a lot of time with the both of you, and we still need to be committed to doing that and look for other, unless, I don't know what the commission's going to do, additional funds. And if not, we need to be thinking as a city and as a commission, maybe we need to absorb those costs as a city to be able to make those changes because they're long overdue. But if we're going to apply for it and not get selected, then, nobody wins. Gutierrez Park doesn't win, and neither does the city as a whole, because we lose out on those funds. So McKelvey Park is, unless I'm reading it wrong, that is the one that is closest to the cap, right? To the 1.5. Okay. So is there any other?
Yeah, so this grant you're applying for, it's one shot on one park.
Yes, one
Okay.
application.
Okay. And what is the maximum allowable?
1.5.
You said 1.5.
1.5 because it's a 50% matching grant.
Okay, so we couldn't do CB Wood Park and Arroyo Park together. Just one park, one
Yeah.
shot.
Yeah, one park, one project.
Okay.
I'll make the motion to.
This is just a presentation.
Yeah, this is
item.
just a
Yeah.
presentation, but
There is an item to do that,
and we have a public hearing.
later on in the agenda.
So, any other questions for Ana or Javier?
Go ahead. You're going to say something,
No, go
Javier?
ahead. I was just there's 2 more slides that I want to share with you, kind of related to parks, but go ahead, Commissioner.
So at the end of the day, CB Wood or Arroyo Park and McKelvey, those are the ones we have a better shot at, just because of the logistics on the closest to the Arroyo, people can get to it. I can see that. I can see that in CB Wood. I definitely can see that in Arroyo Park. As a matter of fact, there's a run that's going on at Arroyo Park as we speak.
Yes.
And there was one the last time we met, we had a meeting here. So that has quite a bit of traffic, gentlemen and ladies and gentlemen. But it's one park, not two, and it just, we're stuck with one.
The other thing I think I'm sorry, were you done?
Go ahead.
The other thing to consider, and this is, in favor of your park in Arroyo Park, is we're leaving out the use part of it. And Arroyo Park does have, it is right smack in the middle of a neighborhood. And I think if we looked at the numbers, more of a low income, when I was going over that with Ana. And so it serves a great population. McKelvey is one that's used throughout the city. So they're both needed, and so maybe they're a little close in dollar amount. So that's another thing to consider.
All three of those are connected through the trail,
Right.
by the way.
But, and I think I said this at the last meeting too, every time that I've gone to Arroyo Park, there has been kids there playing, whether it's, you know, super hot outside or not, and the basketball, doing basketball over at the trails, biking, kids and parents playing in that green space. And now with the pump track, I think there's going to be even more. I think you had people in there before it was even open.
We could.
So, but did you have something else, Commissioner?
Well, the only thing I'm going to suggest, for those parks and the rest of the parks that need a second set of restrooms and concession stands, let's get the Public Works to look into trying to get a design set up, because that'll be a lot cheaper than trying to buy something, than installing one.
Right.
That also means get the high school kids, once they're back from break, and see what they can do. All right? But that's concession stands and restrooms, and we can break that up any way you want. Reduce our cost as much as possible.
Are you done with your presentation, Javier?
What, yes, sir. Well, I just was going to share with you a couple of more. I know that when we had the meeting, Mayor, you had mentioned that, and it's not just you, right? But there's been several complaints, right, about the conditions of the park, and so we talked about, you know, what the day-to-day things that we do. The mornings that we come in, that we open the restrooms and we do a real quick clean of the restrooms, and they don't get service until the evening when they go and close them. And so what I did was this picture here is a excerpt from the 2024 National Recreation Parks Association performance review. And so they show nationwide that we should have 10.5 full-time employees for every 10,000 residents. So if you calculate that, what do we have, 70,000? If we multiply that times, divided by 10, and then we multiply it times 10.5, we should have about 70 employees.
Population of 80,000 would be more accurate.
So I'm being conservative. So anyway, I just want to share this with you.
Hold up. Since
Yes.
you brought it up, how many employees do you have right now working on parks?
We have 28.
Going there.
We have 28 employees and we have 26 parks.
Nobody ought to take vacation or get sick.
So you want to keep going?
So the next slide I have is a recommendation. So even if we don't do the office clerk, we would need we would request 6 groundskeepers at $31,000. That's with fringe, and then that's $189,000. And then we would request 3 maintenance technicians at $52,000 would be $156,000, and then 1 operations supervisor at $50,000. And then this is the equipment. So part of this six groundskeepers are the crew that I had talked about before, right? What I wanted to do is create a crew that all they would do is focus on sports fields. And so we'd have to buy them the proper equipment, and then they would, of course, have these fields on a maintenance schedule where they would herbicide, fertilize, and, of course, irrigation and everything else. And so that was my idea. So it'd be a new crew. So we would subtract from that, from the 6. What did I do? Okay.
We have it in our packet.
We have, just to point out to the commission, this is a discussion on parks only. We have budget workshops coming up next month where we can talk about all this in greater detail.
Are you okay, Gabe? You look a little.
You do
So
look
I
pale, but we
just-
do have a nurse here that'll assist you.
Well, I will just say this, and then we can wrap it up. But yes, we do. That's something to bring to Gabe and to the entire commission, right? On our workshops, and I know you're still trying to work through that to make sure that we get through the budget part of it and making sure everything's in budget. I think it's crucial. It's important for the community at large to understand that the amount of staff that works in the Parks Department, they do the best that they can. They are working tirelessly every single day, and it's humanly impossible to touch every single park every day. And so as a community, if we can work together to keep our parks clean and do what we can as a community to help, that is also going to go a long way. And some of the things that we talked about and we can share at a later time is getting cleanup crews, right, and getting volunteers from the community to see how we can ensure that we're keeping our parks clean, and upgrades and things like that we can involve community members. And this goes hand in hand with like Keep Harlingen Beautiful. And so we are looking towards doing that, and we're going to collectively make sure that the parks get the attention that they need. But Parks does need support in terms of equipment and some additional hands. And that is something hopefully we can touch on when we're doing the budgets.
Okay. Don't worry, I already talked to Robert on Wednesday about making sure we get you guys the support y'all need. So.
No, don't be talking to Robert.
Have to go around Gabe on this one, man.
Yeah, it's like Mike says all the time. As long as if we had
All we need is money.
all we need is money. Yes.
It's that easy.
But we understand, we appreciate you, and we are going to do what we can to be able to support you. So now moving on, Melinda.
Okay, to item 2, public hearing and possible action to approve prioritized selected park projects.
So at this time, we will begin the public hearing, and I'll introduce them for you. So I know there's a lot of new faces, so welcome to our meetings. Our meetings are usually the first and third Wednesday of every month, and we invite you to come all the time so that you can be part of our meetings. It's nice to see new faces. The way this works is you'll come to the mic and you have 3 minutes to speak. And once you approach the mic, you just state your name and what district you live in. And unfortunately, I think this is a public hearing, so there can be engagement, right? Okay. So the citizen communication part, commissioners cannot speak, but in the public hearing you can. So this may be a little different than in future meetings if you haven't been to a meeting before. And I know there are several faces here that are always here, so welcome to y'all too. Now we'll start with Alexandra Peralta, Lexi, right?
Okay, is that what I look at for the timer? I was like, because I talk, so just look at that.
Yeah,
okay. All right. My name's Lexi. I do have a storefront right in front of Gutierrez Park, which is the park that I am discussing today. I do want to bring up that, yes, we do have a prostitution problem. We do have a drug use problem. We do have a microplastic problem. We do have a fighting problem. And I mean physical fighting with people out there. This is a very neglected area. We are talking about 20 plus years. I was born and raised here, and I was never allowed to go to that park. It is disappointing that 20 years later, it is still like that. Just today, that's why I don't even have my notes. I was all prepared when you came, and I have none of my notes because my day consisted of calling the police twice because there was physical fighting going on in the park, and the second time it was so bad that the guy on the ground was actually bleeding all over his face. This is normal. I can't call the cops every day for this park. I'm just one person, and I have my own job that I couldn't do today because of that. And I think it's just very important that we do have an importance in this area. This is a very neglected area of Harlingen. As you guys know, as our Commissioner Daniel, you should definitely know, or I'm not sure who's in the position for the parks, but we know that all these buildings are abandoned and there's a reason. It's 20 years of this. So I'm just here just saying we cannot give up on this park. Just because it's less populated, it's tiny, it's whatever, we need to figure out a solution. And I don't think we need more cement on that park. I don't think that's going to do justice because of the podium. We already gated it. We really need to think of volleyball parks, pickleball courts, dog parks. We have one in Harlingen. Probably. Oh, do I still? Okay. So I just think that's really important. You know, when I called the police earlier today, the man who started 2 different physical fights, somebody else bleeding that had to go to the hospital, he stayed there eating pizza. That's what happened. He didn't get arrested. I didn't know, you know, that was okay. We also never got lights. I'm not sure why that is on the list. We have 1 light there, and I know because I've been there 1 year. I have 3 windows that face directly the park, so I'm there 12 to 14 hours a day. That is my view. So I know I stay there overnight all the time. We have 1 curfew sign, but that's not enforced. I do not see police ever driving there willingly unless I call them or somebody else says. So curfew definitely needs to be paid, like that needs to be enforced. But I am just asking, please do not bring a bathroom there. Please do not bring cement there. It's not going to help. It really needs to be volleyball parks, dog parks. It needs to be something where people have a reason to drive there because people aren't going to walk there. Just like these bigger parks that are a big priority. No, this is a high crime area. It's a neglected area of Harlingen. We can't. And a lot of people ask, why did you choose that area if you know? The bigger question is, why have we neglected it for 20 years? That's the biggest question. So thank you guys.
Thank you, Lexi. We appreciate you coming to be here with us. I know, I'm sorry for your experience today, but I know Commissioner Lopez will probably be reaching out. We talked a little bit about you earlier in the week, and we'll definitely get with the chief to see what we can do to help with those issues. But thank you for sharing that. And Lexi has plans. She already drew out the graphics, and so she can assist Javier. Okay, and then next we have. Let me see if I got this correct. Leonti, is that right? Korolev. No. All right, go ahead, say that.
Leonti Korolev.
No? Okay.
Dobra.
Jessica Wagner. Jessica Wagner. Okay. Ian Guthrie. Ian Guthrie. Roy Maggard. All right.
Roy Maggard, District 2, Daniel Lopez. I spoke to individuals from all walks of life at the park, and they want the city to do the following. Purchase the purple vacant adult daycare building across the street and name it Community Outreach Resources, and allow different organizations to utilize it to do outreach and provide Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, mental health counseling to individuals in a private setting, including HIV/AIDS testing across the street at Lieutenant Gutierrez Park. They want bathrooms, crisis intervention boards, a safety zone for individuals being harassed because of their lifestyle, more water fountains and outlets for cell phones, construction of a parks pavilion for local churches to feed the homeless on weekends because Loaves and Fishes is closed and the homeless want shelter from the rain and sun, wheelchair cement picnic tables, playground equipment for special needs children, a little library, convert gazebo into an amphitheater for musicians to perform concerts, cement murals for artists to paint graffiti, cement walls with a walking trail, sort of like an outdoors museum. The World War II memorial must remain at Lieutenant Gutierrez Memorial Park, as there are rumors some individual groups want to move it to Pendleton Park. Thank you for listening to my comments, Mayor, distinguished city commissioners.
Thank you, sir. Those are all of the forms that I have. Did anyone else sign up?
Yeah, there's some people that are here that want to speak, but they didn't sign up.
Okay. So typically, what is your name?
My name is Scott McFarland.
Okay.
I am actually not currently a resident of Harlingen. I did grow up here till I was 11 years old, lived on Buchanan Street. I'm here actually to speak a little bit on Dixieland Park. I know that I was listening to discussions here. There's so much different planning and so many different things that are going on in the parks, but we and some of the other members or some of the other disc golfers here in the local communities, you know, coming from around the cities, we really cherish this park. It's actually one of the oldest, and I do believe it is the oldest active disc golf park, you know, here in the valley. It's actually, I don't know how familiar you are with the sport of disc golf. It has blown up since COVID because it is actually one of the only safe sports that you can play during these times, you know. So I live in Weslaco now, but McAllen had their courses open during COVID. I spoke with some people that were still playing, and I said, are you kidding me? We can still get out and still get exercise. So I called the city of Weslaco, and they opened the park there, and I know that they've been, you know, out here playing over here in Harlingen. I've been playing this area since 2009, I believe, and it really has grown. If you get out there and you see, you have people from Winter Texans to the young to the old. We have people that are retirees that are out there, and they use that to get their steps, and you get a little dynamic movement in. You also get to, you know, to have your friends out there. You know, we spend a lot of times. I mean, we spend birthdays out there. We spend all sorts of different things, you know, fundraisers, celebrations. So when you're looking at what you're doing with Dixieland Park, I ask that you take into consideration how it can better the disc golf community and keep this park. It's one of the staples. You know, you actually have a application on the phones now called UDisc, like University Disc, and it's actually listed. Dixieland Park is listed on there, and this is an application that people can see, whoever has it, in different even countries. You know, you have parks in Mexico that are listed as well. So this is something people can track. You know, it'll give them directions here, tell them the layout of the park, you know, gives them a little bit of history on the park. So there's tournaments that could be played there. If you're looking at something that could bring, you know, make this a destination point, you do have tournaments that could be thrown there that will bring people from all around. I know that we've been very active in it, and we have people that play every morning. You know, so I just wanted to say, you know, I do really appreciate it. I was very excited when they told us that there's going to be some kind of interest in whether it be redesigning a little bit of the park or, you know, just fixing up. I appreciate that. I know that you're fixing up the baskets out there, and I just appreciate it. And I just want to thank you. Once again, my name is Scott McFarland. I represent the Weslaco area and the Valley Disc Golf Store, and we're here at your service. Anything that you need, if you have any questions, I know we have a whole group of people that would be willing to help you out there. Huh?
Before you sit down, have your son stand up and brag about him a minute.
Okay. So, yeah, this is my son, Joaquin McFarland. He's been playing. I mean, we do a lot of practicing, a lot of his practicing and development here at the Harlingen Dixieland course. He's actually going to compete in about 2 weeks. He's going to Tulsa, Oklahoma to compete in Junior Worlds for PDGA. So he's competing against kids from the last time we went in 2022, there was 15 different countries there. So that was, as I said, you know, right after COVID is really when it took off. This is the third time he's going out there, and he uses Dixieland Park as his practice area. Gets a lot of training out there. But I'll let my son say hi. And okay. He's not the talker. I'm sorry. I'm the talker.
Hey, my name is Joaquin McFarland. As you know, that's my dad, and I'm going to I'm going to Junior Worlds, and I'm really happy to go to the park here and train, and What else to say to
Bravo.
You are adorable, and we are so excited that I hope you tell everybody out there that you practice in Harlingen, and that your commissioner over here in District 5 is going to make sure that we make all the improvements needed. I know when we went out there were people playing, and I'm guilty. I had never really gone out there myself. I know my husband has some family that they moved down from Austin, and that's a big thing over there. And so they're the ones that told me, hey, these are the things that you need to do at the park, and that's kind of what sparked my interest in finding out more. But I didn't even realize there was a big community similar to pickleball. There is y'all have the applications, and it encourages camaraderie. Sorry, within the community. I didn't have coffee this morning because I had to go to early meetings. But so it's awesome that you all are finding a home here in Harlingen.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. My name is Joshua Carrizales, local resident here in Harlingen in the district. I don't know the number, but the one Renez in charge of 5.
Oh,
so we do play at Dixie very often. A lot of us here are from the disc golf community, a lot of the new faces that you see. We do, as local disc golf players, we do local maintenance. We clean up the trees there to assist. We do understand that the Parks and Rec is understaffed. So we do work out there on the park amongst each other, planning to keep the park up to par so it is playable. I want to thank the Commissioner and Javier for taking the time earlier this week to listen to some of our suggestions for the park. We proposed a layout to them. I did email it earlier today, and that was with the how do I put it? Collaboration with the original course designer of Dixieland. So we do have exhibits, and I just wanted to let the Commission know that if there's anything that we can do to donate for regarding surveying services, minor exhibit plannings, etc., that is what I do on a daily basis. And we as a community, the disc golf community, are willing to work together to donate anything that will reduce costs for the improvements of the city, whether it's construction, staking, anything related to surveying services, and again, anything minor civil plans that may not require a licensed civil engineer for like concrete T-pads, etc. So I just wanted to voice myself. As a local resident, we meet, the group is very big every Saturday, and there's some of the local players every day meeting at 8. And we love that park. It's a gem. It's a beautiful spot. People go take graduation photos. Mm-hmm. There's ducks, the water feature, the hill. Now with the softball park there, we can hear them playing in the evenings. It's really cool. We can hear the music. Some of the renovations that are being proposed, a basketball court, it would just be perfect. In some of the locations that we propose in the exhibit, just overseeing on the hill, off the road, and it's just a beautiful location and a gem in Harlingen, and I think we should look into continue renovating. Thank you, everybody, for your time.
Thank you. I will say when we went out there, it was really clean. I was really impressed, and I think I told you your staff does an amazing job. It was in my view, except for I think we talked about the restrooms, but other than that, everything was perfect.
I'm Tracy Dedman. I'm part of District 5, Commissioner Perez, and I will never complain about Dixie being mowed again. Sorry, man. I had no idea you guys were that short-staffed. And since Scott, I'm also an avid disc golfer, but since Scott got to brag on his, I will let you guys know a little history about Dixieland. My stepson graduated here in 2018, I believe it was, 2019, and he decided to not go on a full track scholarship to UT RGV. He decided instead to move to San Antonio and become a professional disc golfer. He actually learned how to play at Dixieland. He reconfigured the course into a safari course, so it actually made it more difficult. He started playing all throughout the state of Texas. He's now one of the top touring players on the Disc Golf Pro Tour in the U.S.
Wow.
And so we've been talking about just like golf courses, right? You can't learn to play better golf unless you play against a better course. The chance that we have now to actually improve this course means a lot to us, and especially our kids, because the better course that they can play on, the more competitive they can be, and reconfigure it to actually make it a better place for these people to learn how to play the sport will only do more to increase the people coming out of the valley actually doing this for a living. I mean, you wouldn't think that a kid from Harlingen, Texas is making six figures out there in the world slinging a piece of plastic, but that's what he does for a living. He's been one of the top 30 in the world for the last 3 years. So I do appreciate it. Commissioner Perez, you pulled us in. You guys listened to us on Tuesday, some of the things that we wanted to adjust or work with the city. And I'm just glad to see the city is actually moving in the direction of improving their parks and assisting with this. So that's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you.
Scott.
So we need to get your son in here and you, and Commissioner's really good at recognizing and doing proclamations and awards, and we'd love to honor you at a commission meeting for all the wonderful work that your son is doing and yours. And I'm sure there's other kids in the mix. Please let us know, because we want to share your story as a city. I learned so much just in these last few minutes, so thank you.
Can one of you pop up here real quick, one of the speakers? Your tournaments, about like how many players come to play at one of those tournaments?
Depends on what time of the year you have. Usually the busier time for disc golf tournaments and when people are competing away is usually around the summertime, so you'll have less tournaments around now. Around the fall time when it gets nice and fresh outside, usually end up with could be anywhere 40s to the 60s of people. I think the largest tournament we had down here that we actually hosted was 70 players. And now when you're speaking of 70 players, you're not only speaking about 70 players here. We have people that come from Monterrey, we have people that come from Mexico, and they'll come and play our tournaments over here. We have people that come from Corpus down here. We've had people that come from San Antonio, Austin. We had a person that was traveling, and he was actually from France, and he actually came down here and played some of ours. So it really varies on the type of people that come out to play these tournaments. But if you're asking a number, between 40 to 60, but depending, as Tracy was mentioning, the park. If the park, or right now it's a great park. If there's little adjustments and it gets to be made a little bit more challenging, more people will come. Why? Because they're wanting that challenge. Disc golf is all about that. So there's definitely opportunity. I host the National Amateur Disc Golf Tour tournaments, and the finale is held in Austin, every year, once a year. And you're bringing people from all over the United States for that. I've already hosted one of the tournaments. I'm going to be hosting 2 more tournaments, and I'd hope that Dixieland would be ready to, it does take about a 2-month planning period for me to get one of these out there, but you'd be seeing people from different, because they're getting the opportunity to compete. It's only by invitation only, the National Amateur Disc Golf Tour. So definitely possibility for a lot of tournaments to come up. Should we be able to have Dixieland Park, be nice and competitive and playable.
And so, how many would you say total with family members? 200-300 people?
Oh yeah, family members. You usually have the player there, but the families come with them, and they're eating at a lot of places here. In fact, as we made mention, in some of the tours that we're going in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and we went to Emporia, Kansas. If anybody's been to Emporia, Kansas, it's a tiny place. However, they have disc golf courses all over. So whenever they host these Masters tournaments or Junior Worlds, they bring in, my son's competing against 144 people just in his division. So, yeah, Tulsa, Oklahoma is going to be hit really big as far as that goes. And hopefully someday we can get something like that here. It does take courses. It does take, the commissioners over there and the city over there, they're in on these disc golf because it brings a lot. It has an opportunity to bring a lot of people. from around the area.
You hit the nail on the head right there. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
One of the reasons I asked him to come and speak, because I kind of see this as low-hanging fruit. Because when we sat with him on Tuesday, we talked about him. I let them know about what I was hoping to do there at Dixieland Park. And some of the suggestions, I mean, a lot of the stuff that that they want to do, like Josh said earlier, they're willing to donate their services, which would lower the cost. And right now, Javier was doing some estimates, but preliminary estimates would be like it would cost us, what was it? Or where's Mondo? It was about 25,000, 30,000, give or take, right? So that's like low-hanging fruit. That's the small cost, and it can have a large benefit for the community economically and also for the people around the surrounding area. And I think, especially like Dixieland Park, I know I was speaking to Norm about this. I think it's good that we have parks where, like, say, for example, every park in our city has like a little niche. And then for Dixieland Park, that could be the little niche. Okay, it's golf discus. They can come over here, have these little tournaments and stuff, and I think it would just be very beneficial to the community. And this is something I'm going to hit up because I know this is meant for the grants, but this is something where I'm going to hit up Gabe during the once we start doing the budget. I'm going to hit you up, just letting you know, for the funding, because, like I said, this is low hanging fruit, and it can make a big difference in our community.
I think it's fantastic because when they were speaking, it reminded me of like the organization that's working on the pump track in Frank's district, right? Like they're the ones doing the work, and they're bringing in the sport that normally we would never have thought of. Pickleball. We were out there on Wednesday. I know you went yesterday. That's another one of those, like you call, low-hanging fruit that we can kind of invest in, and we just see the dividends pay right in. Yeah.
I'm just so excited that the community is so active, right? And in all these different sports. So I think we can make it happen. You have a commission that's eager and excited to support you, and I know that Commissioner Perez is going to follow through. But what I'm going to ask of you is, you said it's just 2 months that you can put a tournament together. So we'll do all that, but we want a tournament in Harlingen, because I want people in, what was it, Kansas, or what did you say? Yeah, for them to be saying, oh, you heard about Harlingen? This is what they're doing in Harlingen. Yes, sir.
Hi, just a couple of comments. My name's Guillermo Aguilar. I don't live in Harlingen. I live in San Benito. But I do consider Dixieland my home disc golf course. That's where I started to learn. What I want to say about the disc golf community is that, sorry, a little nervous, is that this community, when we go out there, we actually pick up trash. We clean up, water bottles, whatever, paper plates, whatever trash we find. We do leave the park a lot cleaner than when we found it. I know some of us, we repair poles on the signs.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, so we reattach the signs after they've been taken down. Sorry. So, yeah, I'm a lot nervous. So we love the course. And this golf is a sport that if you want to put in more trees, go for it. The more difficult, the better. If you do build a new park, leave the trees in there. All you got to do is cut some fairways, a little minimal invasive, cleanup. So it's actually beneficial because it's not concrete. It's not all flat land. We want the hills. We want the obstacles. And I just want to mention that.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Under American law, I think you all can engage whenever you want, but as the mayor indicated, this is a juncture where your staff can also engage. Maybe due to my auditory ability, I wanted to ask y'all or Javier if the restrooms are cleaned upon when they're about to close. That's when you service them? When they open in the morning. But not at night? Okay. Well, he answered the question I had, and appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Lozano.
Good afternoon. My name is Forrest Fonseca. From Harlingen. I've been playing disc golf at Dixieland for under a year now, and I have met a group of people, and this is just not even half the people that we've met doing this for a year, less than a year. Dixieland isn't only disc golf. There's also a lake for fishing. I would think a walking trail just around the actual park would be an easy upgrade improvement for everybody. Not everybody's too eager to go into the Royal Park trails, fear of getting hurt, mugged, anything. So when you're at an actual park with a walking trail around it, people feel a lot safer, strollers, things of that nature. Like I said, there's a lake where people fish. So Dixieland isn't only disc golf. There is open field for people that are practicing for baseball, that they show up playing baseball, football, and soccer. So it's not just the disc golf people. There's a bunch of other people that show up for other activities as well. So of course I would love to push for Dixieland, but there is a lot of other parks that need other things too. And like you mentioned at the beginning, we have to make the right choice for for a whole community. So with that said, listening to Miss Lexi, I believe, is unacceptable. I don't think it takes much money to enforce the laws that would stop that happening where everybody drives by. I drive by that park daily. Enforcing the laws does burden our police and burden our prison systems, but these people already know they get a free pass. She said that the guy was eating pizza after being in 2 fights. Unacceptable. Enforce the laws, and that park would be cleaned up in no time. Little to no money spent with just enforcing the laws. As far as Dixieland goes and all the other parks, I understand everyone wants a piece of the pie. Dixieland does draw people. I drive to Westaco and Brownsville to go play Dixieland, so when I go over there, I'm spending my money that I earned here in Harlingen in their towns. So when they drive from their towns to our town, I want them spending their money here. So if we can improve our parks, all the parks, it's better for everybody. But as the disc golf community, we love that park. We would love to see it expand and grow, and I implore all of y'all to come out and try it one day. It's very easy and very addicting. Thank y'all and appreciate everything.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll be short. I'm Isaac Garizales. I learned today I'm in District 5. I'm part of the wave from COVID. Before I was very competitive and active, obviously in high school sports. And then you graduate and you go to college and unfortunately don't get the opportunity to play college ball. But then you come across disc golf and now you have an opportunity to passionately pursue something while I'm still having my career and my life that I have. I introduced my wife to play. So now she plays, and she's actually beat me. I'm not proud of it, but I am proud of it at the same time. That just kind of goes to show how contagious the game is, like how also you can tell we all know each other, the camaraderie. I cannot stress enough how great that is. We clean the course, and we give feedback, of course, because we want the best. And clearly, with what was discussed today, you guys have a lot of our interest in mind, and I wanted to share my gratitude towards that. Going back to piggyback off of my friend Tracy, he is also a sponsored player. He didn't share that because I don't know why, but he's a sponsored player, and we play religiously there. So then we get the opportunity to meet his son. His son gets to share, tips and good information for us to get better, and that's just the camaraderie and the community that it builds. There's a club in McAllen, there's a club in Brownsville. I really enjoy Dixieland because we've tried to establish a club. We haven't really followed up on it. But what I love about Dixie is it's just this really nice middle area where everybody comes and they can expect that community, that camaraderie amongst all of us, and it's really enjoyable. So I guess another thing is if there's ever future projects or spaces that you're potentially trying to figure out what to do with it, please consider more disc golf. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Alfredo Gomez, District 5. I'm Coach Gomez's youngest brother.
I can tell.
Born and raised here in Harlingen and on the west side. We ran around Dixieland middle school. That's where they took us to run. But there was always a stigma about Dixieland. As a young kid, you were told not to go over there. Mm-hmm. This gentleman came up to me and told me about what he used to do when he was back in the day.
That was me.
And he laughed, right? And I understand why, because they're still doing it.
Oh,
but this is during the day, in the mornings. perverted old men waiting for another perverted old man to come at the bathrooms. This place is gorgeous, but this is what makes it disgusting, and it's not laughable, you know? This is what's happening. You know, something to make it clean up real quick, put more trash cans. There's 3 trash cans in that park. Put them alongside the road so people can drive and just throw the trash into the park, into the can. Because it's left on the side of the road. People go fishing, trash. People eat, trash on the side. We pick it up. We walk by, there's something, I put it in my pocket, put it in my cart. We're spending money to go play this game. I spent up to almost $500 in buying discs, cards, you know, just to go and have fun. 3 months I've been playing this game. I've lost probably 25 pounds. I got heart problems. I've had 2 heart attacks. And that was the reason I picked up my disc, was just to go lose weight. All these guys are my friends now. They just came up to me and said, you want to play with me? I would go play by myself. And now all these guys are my friends. And we show up every morning and we play and we take care of that park. I just wish y'all do the same. Thank you.
Yes. Well, you have a big group. Anyone else? We're good? Well, thank you so much, each and every one of you, for sharing your thoughts. We appreciate it. They are definitely something that, you know, you've given us a lot to think about, to consider. Before, we'll go ahead and close this public hearing at this time. However, I do want to say a few things. You know, I know most of you here is the first time that you're here, so we want to invite you to come back and participate in our commission meetings. But I do want to let you know that this is a unique way of us interacting, and public hearings are much different than citizen communication. So when you come for citizen communication, you sign up and we don't engage because we're not allowed to under the Open Meetings Act. However, in public hearing, we have that opportunity. And then we have workshops where there's opportunity to engage as well. But I definitely want to stress, for those of you, I know that we've got some folks from District 2, District 4, District 5, reach out to your commissioners. Each one of these guys that are up here are very accessible and want to hear what it is that what you would like to see in your respective districts. And even though there will be one park selected for this specific grant, it's not the only grant that we get throughout the year. You're only hearing of this one because this is what's on the agenda. But there are other sources of grants and opportunities for us to leverage to make these improvements. And like you heard from several of the commissioners here, there are low-hanging fruit, what we call things that in a city budget isn't that much. You know, I know 20 or 30,000 is a lot of money, but when you're looking at the city of Harlingen, that's something that we can carve out to be able to make these improvements in the parks. And you were very eloquent and passionate about what you said in terms of crime and the issues that are happening in Gutierrez. And I am listening. I know everybody is listening here, and we are going to have some serious conversations about that. I wasn't aware. We didn't talk about that when I was there with you. If we had, then definitely I would have had something else to add to that conversation. But it is troublesome, and we'll make sure, and I'll be reaching out to you, and I'm sure that Daniel will as well. But like I said, just because one park is picked doesn't mean that the others will not be given the attention that they need. We're also going to prioritize parks so that way we can tackle all of them. The goal here in Harlingen is that we want to have a community where there are green spaces and opportunity for every single person in every neighborhood to have access within walking distance to a park. And that's a big goal, but that's something that we're committed to doing and ensuring that our trails are connected. And I really like the idea of having the walking trails. It's something that the commission has already discussed, of having walking trails within each of the parks for families to be able to see their kids play, but also parents to get some exercise, right? We're all getting older, health issues and concerns, and that's an opportunity for us to promote health and wellness. So I hope that gives you at least some peace of mind that if Dixieland isn't chosen or Gutierrez isn't chosen or any of the other parks, it's not that that's it. You know, we're not going to focus on those. We're going to absolutely focus on all of them. All right.
And I just want to mention on the trail, that's something I'm actively working on, because for those of you that may not know, what's the Royal Bike Hike Trail, it's also the Frank Bogus Trail. It's literally like within, yeah, it's super close. So my goal is to eventually get a trail around Dixieland Park and to connect it. So that's something that I'm actively working on, and hopefully that we'll be able to get. And like the mayor said, there are other additional funding sources, and there's one that just recently we're Dixieland's getting recommended for, and it'll come to us next week, and hopefully if everything works out, it'll get approved, and you will be seeing some changes at Dixieland Park soon.
My memo was a little different this time. We are missing a basket at Dixieland.
It's not.
Amongst the community, it's getting, hearsay. I personally take mine every time that I go to place it, and anyone that's there is more than welcome to use it while I'm there. But once I leave, I'm packing it up. So it has been missing for a while.
I think that's one of the ones, Javier, that you guys are repairing or redoing. Yeah, because they did reach out to me on that one and let me know about that one, but that's one that they're actually repairing. Because a couple weeks ago, when the mayor and I were walking the park, that's something that we noticed. We reached out to parks, so that's what they're doing right now. They're actively working that. And if everything works out with during the budget, and we're able to get that additional funding for what we want to do with the redesign, that will eventually, hopefully, si Dios quiere, we'll be able to replace all those different baskets.
And if I may?
Yep.
Yesterday, I attended a meeting, and the people that I met with was called Brownfields. They're out of Kansas. They work in conjunction with the TECQ, the state, EDC, the Railroad Commission, and other groups to do exactly what we're looking at on parks that cannot be, that will not be part of this, that can be tied in. Mr. Gomez, I know you missed it. I gave Ms. Hernandez some information. That's what I gave her. But it's not just, it doesn't deal just with parks. There's a whole slew of other things that we can work on. That is another avenue in trying to get funding for parks and for the low to moderate income areas that need a lot of attention. This is something that was provided to me as far as an option to be able to attend by our local state rep. So I took advantage of that, went to Laguna Vista, and participated in that discussion, in that learning process. And guess who else was there? Besides our state rep, our EDC people. So this is not going to be something that we're just looking at, just this project. There's going to be others, and it will be addressed. Hopefully it'll be a lot sooner and faster than some of the other materials that I've been trying to get through. But this is not going to go away. This will be addressed. You will have solutions. I promise you that. The question is, how soon? Will it take a week? Will it take a month? Will it take a year? But you will get solutions. That you will. Thank you.
Okay. So we have closed the public hearing. If there's no other, okay. On this item is to prioritize the parks. Is that correct?
That's correct. This is just a public hearing. The next two items are also public hearings that we need to have for the following action items.
Okay. So on here, you had prioritized selected park projects. You're not going to do that? Or that's why I was asking.
Well, this is only for
Part of the public hearing.
only for upcoming projects, but we can discuss those further whenever we have the opportunity.
Okay.
That's probably going to come up during the budget process, what parks you want us to focus on.
Okay.
And then we have several avenues that we can look at, general fund, and also maybe the 4B as well. So we can talk about all those possibilities on any other project that you want us to concentrate on.
Okay.
Doesn't have to be here tonight.
Get ready, Gabe.
So then we'll move on to item 3.
Yes.
Item 3, public hearing on the submission of a grant application to the Texas Parks and Wildlife Non-Urban Outdoor Recreation Local Park Grant Program. Parks and Recreation.
So at this time, we'll open the public hearing. I do believe everyone has spoken. This is the public hearing for the grant of the application of the Texas Parks and Wildlife. Is there anyone here wishing to speak on this specific item? Having no one here to speak on this item, we'll close the public hearing.
Okay. Item number 4, public hearing on the submission of a grant application to the Texas Parks and Wildlife Non-Urban Indoor Creation Local Park Grant Program.
This is also a public hearing for a grant, but this is for indoor recreational facilities. Is there anyone here to speak on this item? Okay. Having no one here, we'll close the public hearing.
Okay, moving on to item number 5, consideration and possible action to approve a resolution authorizing the submission of a grant application to the Texas Parks and Wildlife Non-Urban Outdoor Recreation Local Park Grant, Special Projects Director.
Okay, so this is, so that way it can be identified, correct?
Yes, this was for the 6 projects that were presented earlier by staff to the commission that included CB Wood, McKelvey, Arroyo, Soccer, Vestal, and Gutierrez. We are asking the commission to pick one that we would submit for funding to the Parks and Wildlife for a possible grant application up to $1.5 million.
Anna, I have a question. When's this grant due to apply?
I can tell everyone July 31st, but it's technically August 1st, but I'd like to submit it before, the day before.
Yesterday.
Certainly.
Yes. Okay.
Question.
So,
Have we considered the fact that McKelvey floods when we have a pretty bad flood compared to CB Woods and
there's a
Arroyo
couple of
Park?
issues.
Yeah, sorry, someone texted me right now and he was like, hey, brought up that concern. I think it's a good one. I just want to make sure that whatever money we put into it, stays there, but isn't destroyed next time we have a big rain or whatnot.
Right, so the area that floods is within the floodway, right? So we do have the lighting in the arroyos. Sometimes we'll put the stage down, or Blues on the Hill, we'll put the stage down on the bottom. But just depending on the weather, right? So it doesn't have to, of course, necessarily rain here, but if they release water up the valley, it'll still come and flood that area. But the area where we want to do the improvements are up above the floodway.
So it's like where the pavilion is,
Yes, sir.
and then the
Playground, and there's some picnic areas, and then depending on where we can build the parking area, right, is either on the behind the restrooms or over here towards the what they call the ebony forest.
Okay, Gabe, I got a couple of questions for you. We're soon to be going into budget calculations and requests.
Yes.
And if my memory is correct, last year there was $11 million more requested than all the divisions within the city than we could fund, correct?
Right.
Okay. So
That's still the case this year, too.
yeah, I know. Everybody asks for everything, but with Javier here, we're like 50 employees shy of maintaining parks. So with that question, we applied for one of these, and then CB Wood is $500,000. Would you be comfortable to fund that without a grant application? And you don't have to answer that now.
Okay, good.
Yeah, you're not on the spot, but think about it for the budgetary process.
Sure. And there are a few possibilities to fund, say, CB Wood, some of the improvements at Dixieland that we talked about earlier. There are avenues to actually get some of those funded that don't necessarily have to be through the general fund.
Yeah, and so it's not all or none.
Right.
Okay. Because with this disc game, man, I learned something tonight. I appreciate it. It seems to me we could put in a second course someplace, and somebody said it costs $25,000. So that would be, think about that too.
We can always do that in another park on the west side.
Or the other districts.
So, okay, and that's an important point, there's several things, and I think we're kind of veering off, but covered bleachers, all those things, we still want to do all of that, and so let's not forget about that when we're looking through the budget. But we have a decision here to make, so if we could focus on what that is there a motion, or is there further discussion on a selection of a park?
I'm in favor of whatever Anna believes has the best chance.
Anna did not want to pull the trigger on any of those because she does not feel comfortable saying that in front of this commission. But I agree with, and I think, and I don't think you need to be concerned because everybody respects your opinion. So if you have one that you think that you would like to work on, this is the time for you to ask and you shall receive.
No, thank you.
No, thank you.
That's what she's saying back there. No.
I'd be all over it.
I mean, I stand by what I said earlier.
They are all
They're
equally.
good, they're solid. We can make a good case. Each of the parks have strengths and weaknesses, and it's our job to make it competitive.
So I'm going to say this, okay? So if that is, if all things being equal, then I would really stress to this commission that Gutierrez Park needs it because of the issues that we heard today, but it's not connected to the Arroyo. So I want to respect what you are proposing or what you are, conveying to us, and I don't want to, and I don't want to stand behind that if you think that it is not the strongest park to get funded.
I think there's other grants that maybe will be more fitting to the needs of Gutierrez Park.
Okay, so we've checked
Yes.
that one.
Thank you.
So we're sticking with the Arroyo, what's connected to the Arroyo. And so it seems that the one that gets the most use from my view, and I go to McKelvey, I go to Arroyo Park. I haven't been to the CB Wood, so I don't know the amount of people, but I will just say, I say this all the time, and I tell Javier that there's always a ton of families out at Arroyo Park, and it needs some.
I would be comfortable making a recommendation for you to apply for Arroyo Park.
Is that a motion?
That's a motion.
I
Okay.
second that.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Nice. Okay, thank you, Anna.
Moving on to item 6, consideration and possible action to approve a resolution authorizing the submission of a grant application to the Texas Parks and Wildlife Non-Urban Indoor Recreation Local Park Grant Program, Special Projects Department.
Mayor, this really is for rec centers, so we are asking that staff be given the authorization to apply for a grant to do a feasibility study for the recreation center for the city.
Did you want to do this study, or is this, no, right? So, Anna,
Yeah, I'm sorry.
just sit up here.
Yeah, so sorry. So it could be either way. So if you feel that you have a location, that was one of the discussions that we had last time, we can go ahead and do design and construction.
So I think based on our conversations, and we spent a lot of time talking about this, I think that based on land availability, it seemed that Pendleton Park was the best situated to extend where the pool is. Is that correct? And do you want to explain a little bit about that?
Yes, ma'am. So the idea was that we would connect the rec center to the pool, to Pendleton Pool. And so similar to a YMCA, we would have the rec center connected. And so there's area on the west side of Pendleton where we can make that happen. And then there's also land there where we can add parking if necessary. So that would be my recommendation, is that we select Pendleton for this grant.
And then questions, Gabe.
Yes.
The building on Madison, what building is that? By Madison.
That's a community center.
Community center.
Yeah.
And they're from the 50s, the shuffleboard in the tile. And of course, nobody's played shuffleboard for 45 years or so. No. It's one of the few things I don't do in my life. But what about putting in the pickleball courts there inside?
We already have pickleball played in the community center,
Yes.
so that's happening already.
Okay, but is it dedicated to
No,
pickleball?
no, it's not, because we also rent out the community center for other uses.
Okay.
And so, remember, we used to have the Feast of Sharing there, and they moved out. They're using the commit center now.
Okay.
So.
Okay, just a
But
question.
We're veering off topic again.
I had a quick question for
Getting
Gabriel,
late.
quick.
Yes, sir.
Would it be possible to like repurpose one of our buildings that we have for that purpose, for like a pickleball, like so we can have it indoor?
To make it permanent?
Yeah.
Until
well,
shuffleboard comes back.
Well, no, shuffleboard's never coming back.
Oh, you crushed me.
We would,
We talked about Casa de Amistad, right? And so I think.
well, yeah, but that would not be a good location to make it permanent, because a lot of people use Casa de Amistad for weddings, for quinceañeras. We would have to pick a facility. If we were to pick one, probably would be the community center to make it permanent for shuffleboard. I'm sorry for, you got me thinking about, for pickleball, yeah.
So I've asked Javier, and maybe you can share it with the entire commission. I asked for the cost of what the revenue is for all of the buildings, so that way we know how much is coming in for Casa Amistad, Casa del Sol, the community center, and all of those. Today, as we sit here, the community center had to cancel their pickleball event, session or drills, which is what I learned the most popular out of all the classes. They do Thursday and Friday through Salud y Cuenta for beginners like Rini and I to learn, and it's just full of people, and so we're really taking that away from them every Friday by closing. So I think that we do need a dedicated space, but I think Gabe needs to look to see at the numbers what's the best location to be able to do that, so that way they are not being moved. But at the same token, I mean, spin gets canceled, the Pilates, like all of those, and so I think, they're all important because we want to have a healthy community.
Yeah, so I've already talked, going to your point on I talked to staff maybe like 2 months ago, about putting pickleball exactly where you said, because a gentleman approached Ford and I when I did our pickleball event there. I think it came out to like
He already had it designed.
Yeah. So it came out to like 200,000, right? 300,000.
Right, so I included that in the PowerPoint from last week.
Yeah.
And so the total cost of construction for that was $321,600. That's to build 8 courts behind the community center using the shuffleboard courts. So we would repurpose those.
And they'd be outdoor courts.
Right. Yes,
And then
ma'am.
they're the indoor inside.
They would be lighted, and then it would also include seating, covered seating out there in the back. So it was construction of the court, lighting, and then the shaded seating, and then the engineering for the plans, right, for the foundation.
Would there be any type of like kind of covering for when they're actually playing?
No, the only thing we would cover is just the seating for the players.
It's hot.
But you said you would install some windscreens, right?
Right. Yeah, we could raise, because the walls are completely brick, right, and so that it blocks. But if we go higher, we can put windscreens above that.
Well, having spoken to the players there, a lot of them were saying that the real pickleball is outdoors, like that. And I didn't realize, I mean, I would prefer indoors because I'm not like a good player and it's hot. But they were saying that most of it, right, most of the courts are outdoors.
No,
But it would be nice to have some
They
kind of
wanted
shade.
outdoor, indoor.
Outdoor, indoor, yeah.
In other
that
words, they
was
wanted an
confusing.
outdoor park, a court, but indoors.
The floors.
See, the
but we have
community center
wind
is where
and
we could
heat
do
here.
that and make it work.
What, I'm sorry?
At the community center, so we could do that, outdoor and indoor, and make it work.
No, he's saying that outdoors.
Covered.
Yeah, they say outdoor, indoor, but they meant indoor. They want it indoor, but with the floors the way that they are outdoors, like a
Yeah.
tennis court inside.
Oh, okay.
Right. Yeah, that didn't make sense, indoor, outdoor.
I thought it was outdoor, but indoor meaning that it was covered.
That's okay. It's like we were playing yesterday, and Norma couldn't get over the net either. So she's kind of confused.
Well, hey, that's better because when I played with her on Wednesday, she was missing the ball completely. Like she was whiffed it. Like,
That was still happening.
oh, that still kept
Well,
happening.
I will just say that there was a winner and a loser, and I think I was the winner, so. Anyhow, but yeah, no, I'm hideous, but there are great players out there in our community. But again, we are veering off, and so in this proposed or this grant, we are looking at using Pendleton because that is the only space that we have within the city that would be that would cover for this grant, right, at this time.
Correct.
How big is it? Like, do you have designs? Do you have like what's going to be in it? Do we have any of those questions?
We haven't looked at what that would look like. But one thing that I was sharing with the mayor was that when I was with the county, we built a center over at Brownie Road at Pete Benavides Park, which is the Bob Clark Community Center. And so we built a kitchen, commercial kitchen, had classrooms on the side, and of course, a big lobby, and then it also had an exercise room where people would go and exercise. And the reason that we designed it and built it out there was because a lot of those people they didn't have transportation to come to the city, so we built it out there by the airport. So people from that community would actually go to the center for those services. And so we would contract with different agencies to be able to bring those services to that community. Before I left, they built we added on a basketball court to the back end of it. So right now it has a basketball court and it has all the things. So that was my idea that we'd build a commercial kitchen, maybe some classrooms, and then a gym in the back or somewhere. And the gym could also serve as a shelter.
So, how much is this grant for?
I think it's 1.5 million, up to 1.5, but it's a matching grant.
$3 million.
And so the thing is that it opens up for indoor only every couple of years, right? And so the idea with this is, I think you were going to get with whoever you said helped with Victor Park, is that right? To be able to design and to have everything, but we talked about the things would be similar to like a YMCA, that it would have it would be attached to where the pool is, and then you have the tennis courts that are already there. You'd have a basketball court indoor, some weight or exercise rooms, and the commercial kitchen would serve as a place to have nutrition classes and all the things that they're already doing, but they're all spread out throughout the entire city. So they'd have dedicated spaces to those classes and have pickleball court inside of the facility, as well as, what was the other one? Basketball court?
Basketball.
Indoor basketball.
You could also have volleyball as well.
We were talking about the way that Sports Palace was before in the day, where it had the indoor walking track and had racquetball, but into racquetball would be pickleball. So something similar to that, but with a nutrition and health component to it, to be able to have those classes. Because I know they tried to do some of them, and then there was just no kitchen, and so we did them at the community center, but with the recipes already pre-made.
Right, and we would have to use some of the churches. We'd go to them, and they would lend us their kitchen.
Right.
The handout that you sent me said that the maximum project amount is $3 million, but the maximum grant amount is $1.5 million. Is that still correct?
Match.
Okay.
Does that cover design as well?
Yes.
So design and build for $3 million. Can't be too big.
Well, I think that is from the grant, but there would be more from the city. It's a matching grant, but I don't know that that's going to cover everything. Is that correct?
And the roof at the pool has to be completely replaced.
Correct. Yeah, and I did provide a budget with that one too. And the other thing that we wanted to add, but of course if we add the rec, we'd have restrooms in that. But I wanted to add showers to the pool, replaster the pool, and then replace the roof.
Could always be a smaller rec center if, coming up with the matching part is of issue. And we did talk about, I think, at the last meeting, going towards doing small little rec centers throughout the community. And Pendleton would probably just be the first one to see what that would look like. They can work with the design. I think they still need to flesh that out with the person that helped them with Victor Park. Is there any other questions for Javier?
So you want a motion to do what?
To allow them to apply for the grant for rec center.
That's a $1.3 million grant?
1.5.
1.5.
Yes, but it's a matching grant, so we have to match it.
So we would match it with 750.
No,
It's 3 million.
150.
150.
Oh, sorry, 1.5.
1.5.
It's a $3 million grant.
So if we get this one, we get 1.5, and then if we get, let's say, it's not, if we did McKelvey, right, then we'd also have to put in another 750.
Yeah,
So
the-
total,
Arroyo.
if we were blessed and got both, we would be putting in 2.25.
But, and also remember, and I think Anna did a really good job of this the other, last meeting, this takes time, so even though they get awarded, you're not getting funded until much more down the road. So it's good for, like I said, they're opening up, it's good, give them the opportunity to apply for the grant, because we won't be getting that opportunity again for the next few years. And then you won't be able to get the money to be able to do it for another 2 years, right, potentially. So this is just stuff to get the ball rolling.
Go for it, Mike.
So I'll make a motion to authorize the city to apply for the grant application to Texas Parks and Wildlife Non-Urban Indoor Recreation Local Park Grant Program.
I
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And that is all we have. We are adjourned. Thank you. Thank you all for joining us.
Hopefully we can get it.
Yeah.